Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody and friends of Desi Vibes 360 all over the world. This podcast is somewhat personal to me. This is one of my dearest friends for over 50 years who we are going to talk today. You all will not believe our association has been since school days, early, that to primary school days. This guy was a front bencher. He would sit in the front bench, a quiet, shy, introverted kid. Until the 10th standard, he would not even act in school plays, as far as I remember, or he would do voices of different class teachers. But other than that, no big star in school. And then I met him in college. And I saw this stud with long hair, tall guy, well built, hero, Bollywood looking, qualities. I was surprised to see him, and he was completely extroverted, completely fun, completely boisterous, and talking all the time. So he was fun to be around. So let me welcome Suresh Menon, my dear friend, and the superstar comedian from India. Hi, Suresh. Welcome to our podcast.
Wow, thank you, Saurin. Thank you for such a lovely introduction. I still can't, I in fact still can't believe that I was the quietest kid then when recently I had this thing to show my kids that I was never the first ranker, but I always had conduct good, very good.
Yes.
Good, very good.
Yeah.
Throughout those 10 years that we were in school. So it was great to actually break out of it. And as you rightly mentioned, a little bit of kida, if you can call it that, had come into me when I learned the ability of imitating people, and I think I was quite good at that. Yeah, it all started way back in school, because school is such a wonderful place to grow up, and a scary place also. I was glad to be out because my dad used to have these surprise raids in a bookshelf and start seeing which homework we had done or not done,
Yeah.
and then he used to randomly start asking questions. So I think after school that thing stopped, and we were like quite relieved to be here. And I'm just glad where I am, and I'll tell you more as we go on. It was never my intention to be an actor, and how it came about there. There are some interesting stories. Yeah.
But you have a large repertoire, right? From, of course, the Comedy Master. You have your own production house. You also are the head, content head for MX Players. Other than working for movies like Dil To Pagal Hai, Hera Feri in the South, Brahmra Rampi, and a huge repertoire of movies as well, Suresh. So how did you get started into on the comedy route, and how did that come about?
You have a kida when you're in school, but being a South Indian, you know what the focus was on, Saurin. And
Science.
that explains why a stud boy like you landed up in US after studying so hard and getting these lovely degrees and then going there. So we all were forced to study. I think it was more a career-oriented childhood that we all had once we went out. Of course, those days things are not that easy. Parents working in LIC, both my parents were working in LIC. And I remember my first job that I got was because of my dad. He had somebody in LIC. I think Saurin, the person who my dad introduced to, was your cousin. I'm still trying to remember his name. Rao, something with S Rao. His dad was also in LIC with working in my dad. So he said there is this person in this company called IDM, bro.
Yeah.
So engineering degree नहीं था मेरे पास, लेकिन मैं एक data management company में घुस गया. IDM, International Data Management. So it sounded really respectful.
Yeah.
And I was seeing a girl at that time very shyly, and I thought कि भाई ये इसमें नौकरी लग जाएगी तो बस खत्म, everything will fall into life set हो जाएगा. Or those days, I'll come later to those Hindi songs which used to actually corrupt our brains, thinking what is romance and all that stuff. So, so I got a job over there, and I worked for 6-7 months. I realized that I'm not a
9 to 5
computer
guy.
friend, a computer friendly guy.
Yeah.
Though they had put me in QC and all that stuff, I couldn't understand what the hell I was doing over there. So I thought maybe now how to get out of here. So I told my dad I want to do my ICWA. No, it's a chartered accountancy,
Yes.
nahi, ICWA, cost
Yes.
accountancy.
Cost
So
accounting.
dad said, damn good, yeah. Then I passed the entrance in one go. So I thought I already got the cost accountancy ka degree. Entrance ऐसे clear किया, बाकी सब
फाइनल अभी बाकी है मेरे भाई.
बस उसमें इंटरमीडिएट कोर्स में आई क्लियर्ड वन ग्रुप 2 एंड ग्रुप 1 में मैथ्स था. And still today, that's the only subject that I've yet to clear in that group. I don't know if I can give the exams again, but maybe at this age, I'm thinking maybe I should try and revive that. But that was the background, and then I realized that this is not a place for me. I need to be somewhere in a more talkative environment
Yeah.
where I should be maybe in sales, space selling, or maybe more something, nothing related to glamour. Saurin, as you said, school mein bhi I never came out, but I remember one incident. Natty Miss, remember her?
Lolikat?
Natty, Nattie. She used to, God, which subject I forget. We'll have to put on the group again to ask. Natty Miss one day caught hold of me and said, "You are taking part in an elocution competition."
Really?
I said, "No." Yeah, I said, "No, Miss, I can't. You have to narrate, recite a poem going on stage, son." "Oh, Miss, I can't remember lines." "No, you are going to do this. You will practice with me after school." And now that was the scariest part. After school, matlab, those days we used to come by train from Andheri to Vilepale by train.
Right.
And the society that I stayed in, Rajat Rekha, all of us were mainly studying in Xavier. So we used to travel to and fro together. Abhi suddenly it came at that era कि you have to travel alone.
Yeah.
थोड़ी सी फट गई मेरी फिर आई टोल्ड माय डैड ऐसा है तो डैड सेड सो व्हाट यू कैन यू डोंट हैव नीड कंपनी यू कैन ट्रैवल बैक अलोन यू नो हाउ टू ट्रैवल राइट दिस इज 8th standard.
Yeah.
I said, okay, Dad, I'll do it. I stayed back for school after school hours and practiced very diligently, went back home. There was a sort of happiness thinking that maybe I'm going to face an audience, I'm going to be on stage. Though apni society mein during Ganpati, we used to have these festivals, put up plays and have a lot of fun. First time I thought it's a different place. I should try. I must tell you that I didn't do a bad job, but I did fumble on one or two lines over there. I did get a lot of clap from all my friends. And then I went back home. एक confidence बढ़ गया था कि you can travel alone and you don't have to depend on anyone, and that's the biggest confidence that you can get.
You can face a crowd.
Yeah, you can face a crowd, and that's a most fearsome thing, and that too when something so organized in an organized manner. Building के अंदर it's all unorganized. In such an organized, confidence was like good, but still yet I remained very shy till 10th. I was still in the front bench.
Oh yeah.
Didn't know what to do. Not that good in my studies. I think I got second class in SSC, secondary school certificate. आजकल सुनाई भी नहीं देता है सब.
नहीं, वो सब है. वो सब है.
उसके बाद getting into a job and then trying to get out of there was a epic task for me. I met a lot of people. I worked in different companies. I worked in a place called 20th Century Finance, thinking it will help my ICWA and vice versa. And there one colleague of mine, Javed, one day looked at me and said, "तू बड़ा बोर हो रहा है ना?" बोला, हाँ तुझे कैसे मालूम पड़ा? तो यार तू कॉफी पीने जाता है आधा घंटा तो लगाते ही है, उसके तू यहाँ पे आता है, तुझे किसी में इंटरेस्ट नहीं, दिलचस्पी नहीं है. आई कैन सी यू स्टेयरिंग एट एवरीवन विद डिस्डेन. दैट्स अ वर्ड ही यूज्ड. ऐसे नहीं वो नहीं. आई एम थिंकिंग मैं इनकी तरह तो बन नहीं सकता हूँ, तो मैं यहाँ क्या कर रहा हूँ वही मेरे दिमाग में चल रहा है. और घर पे तो बोल नहीं सकता हूँ ये काम छोड़ना है मुझे. So he said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Maybe I want to try space selling." So he said, "भाई एक काम करता हूँ, I know this TV and video world magazine हुआ करता था late early 90s में. I will introduce you to this editor called Imran Merchant. He will meet you. He'll talk to you." I said, "Great." We met him during one of the lunch times in those days, and we went there, met him. Imran Bhai told me, "Sorry, son, I don't have a vacancy for you right now. I'm curious about you. What all do you do in life?" So Javed immediately said, "Sir, anybody walks in the office, he can imitate them like this. Our boss is already started imitating. He's damn good. He's an entertainer." So this guy says, "So have you thought about acting?" And I said, "Are you crazy, sir? My parents will kill me." These are the exact words that I said. No, सोचो लड़कियां बोल सकती है, लेकिन हम लड़के भी तभी ऐसा सोचते हैं ना कि नहीं ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं. He said, "No, I'm asking you this because there is an opening in RK Studio. They're looking for raw newcomers as heroes in a film. So maybe you should try." So he spoke to this Major Ashok Kaul, who was working in RK Films, and they were making a film based on the army, and he said, "Why don't you go and meet him?" Made a call immediately. Landline those days, no cell phones. The meeting was fixed for 21st October 1991. That day, I'm going back home. I felt I'd already become an actor. मुझे लगा लोग मुझे देख रहे हैं. I enjoyed that feeling. ऐसा पूरा ऐसा मतलब vibe के साथ train में. And then when I'm thinking in my mind, I won't be seen in these trains again. Crowded train with somebody's oiled hair up my nose. When I turned here, there was somebody's armpit. So
Yeah.
that was, and I said, never have to travel by train again. But yeah, I didn't get the role. I
RK was
managed.
Raj Kapoor's studio,
Raj
right?
Kapoor studio. Yes,
Yeah.
back then, my God. So I had taken a bus from Seven Bungalows. I reached there because obviously I couldn't go by cab and all. And I had dressed up exactly the way I used to dress to go to office.
Yeah.
And I walk in, no filmy air around me
Yes,
that time.
yeah.
Or maybe I didn't know how to do it, I almost bumped into Rishi Kapoor Saab, crashed into him. And he said, "Arey, take care, son, take care." I said, "No, I'm so sorry." "No, it's okay." Then I said, "Sir, can I go to Major Ashok call?" So he pointed out there, son, and he patted me on the back, encouraging pat. He didn't know me from Adams. He didn't have to do that. He could have perhaps say, "Dekh ke nahi chal
Of
sakta kya?"
course. Yeah.
Nothing. Very polite and what a good-looking guy. He was like pink,
Is it?
yeah. A handsome man, and I was like awestruck. And that time I felt, yeah, I should be a part of this industry. Of course, I didn't get the role. Today, I look back and I think that guy looked at my photographs, which were clicked by my cousin, and he wanted to laugh, but he was very polite. and he said, "Son, you know what? Unfortunately, in this film, I can't give you a role because you look as if you come from a very rich family." And this was based on army boys, so he can't look like this. So I said, "Sir, I'm not rich." Next 15 minutes I spent telling him I'm not rich. I came by bus, I had to walk and all that. Then he said, "Son, it's not about you have money or don't have money. You look rich." So I said, "Wow, man, that's a compliment from the other side." So maybe then felt very disappointed. I went back, but I don't know. Oh, Talpatri, that thing that they used to cover the studios, the sets and all that stuff.
Right.
It has got a distinct smell,
Yeah.
now I call it fragrance, which we used to keep those talpatris during Ganpati to prevent rains falling on the
Correct.
idol
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
building. So I said, this seems like home, a studio seems like home. I should perhaps try and get into it. And that planned that time, I'll ask my dad that I want to try in the film industry and give me a year's time. If I don't succeed, I'll come out. I talked to dad. I said, give me a year's time. I will come out of the industry if I don't get any work, and if I get something, I'll be more than happy because I've done. I don't want to wake up when I'm 40 or 50 and say I should have tried, man. I didn't want to have that feeling.
No
I'm
regrets.
glad.
Yeah.
No regret. I'm glad I did it. There has been a lot of ups and downs. It's a crazy line. It's a rock and roll ride even now. Wow. I'm just grateful that I had some sense being a Xavierite ki bindas kuch karte hain.
Amazing.
That's interesting, Suresh, because going back to my hometown, Lucknow, and going back to the days when I was growing up, intermediate, later on studies, and started working, one thought which comes to my mind, even today, about Suresh Menon is your mimicry. That has still stayed with me. And like there are a lot of people. I'm also a huge fan of Amitabh Bachchan.
I did start imitating Bachchan sir after a long time in my acting career, especially when we had to do Kaun Banega Roadpati. That's for the company that I built. So it became very interesting. But I've interviewed Mr. Bachchan thrice, and all the 2 times I was dressed up once like South Indian character I used to play for ETC channel called Pillai. The second time I dressed up like we were interviewing him for Dev, where he was a cop, and I dressed up like Pran Saab, and I said, "Barkordar Vijay, is bar kisko pakad de ja rahe ho?" I became Pran Saab and all this stuff. And third time, I was myself because we didn't get time. Bachchan sir had given us the time, and we all had to reach Cyrus Brocha, me, all of us were waiting outside the shooting venue, waiting for Mr. Bachchan to walk in, and different sets were in different parts of the room, and he'll come one by one, finish his interview very patiently, huh? With no starry air. That he
Right.
was slightly late. He came in and he said, "बहुत माफी चाहता हूँ. I couldn't make it on time. Really sorry." No, he didn't have to do that, but that's that man,
Yeah.
dignity. Every time he got up, he used to put his coat button on. He sat down, the button used to be off, and so stylish. And that voice, baritone voice of his. Then he finished with brocha. Then he comes and sits in the ETC. चलिए भाई चलिए ETC वहाँ पे आना है. ये भी इंडिया का #1 channel है. Sense of humor. 'Cause all of us used to say India का #1 channel. No?
Yeah.
So we all started laughing. Then he looked at me and he said, "आज आप getup में नहीं हो."
Acha, he knows.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. I said, "Wow, this man remembered." You know, so there is a deep-rooted wish inside me that I do get to share some screens
So nice.
space with him. Yeah,
That's amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm sure Arun Singh is itching after hearing about Allahabad, Amitabh Bachchan, and he has a lot of history to it. So Arun, any questions?
Yeah. Sounds like Suresh. One line I'm learning what's common between me and Amitabh Bachchan now. I have to remember that line. It's very powerful.
Yes.
It would come from Allahabad. Actually, so, I mean, he was born in, I'm not sure if he was born in Allahabad or not, but his village, Pratapgarh, he's from there. But certainly his dad was there. So his address was 460 Buttiganj, and mine was 359 Buttiganj. So
Oh.
it was very, a couple of blocks away, and a couple of his relatives, they still live there. So they're good friends, and because of them, I've got to meet him and Harbansh Rai Bachchan. But when we used to meet Harbansh Rai Bachchan, he used to speak in Allahabadi. So, my friend would, take me there and he say, "Kas bhai, phir aa gaye ho? Bole rahe ke awa karo, tum utha ke chale aawat raha to." जब देखो तब आ जाते वहां से ट्रेन पकड़ के. So it was fun time. But anyway, coming back to you, there's so much stuff going on now in our job in BPO side. Now we call it global economy, which means we have to stay up 24 hours looking our phone and email. But same thing has happened with your industry, with movies and podcast and OTT, and it's just going around the clock. When do you start your day and when it ends? I'm sure it's all blends in, but how do you manage all that?
It's crazy, especially when you're busy. Right now, I can't say I'm that busy. There were days when I used to shoot for 72 hours. But there's one thing in our line. People who come into this line, and most of us have come because we want to do this. There's a creative streak in us. And honestly, it's that saying that someone says that you should have such a job that you feel that you've now worked a single day in your life. And our line, most of us feel that way. Especially when we are busy, we're doing a lot of things. We do feel that, the tensions are too much. The politics are obviously there. It's there in every line, and there's preferences, there are favorites, all those things are there. So constantly, I think 24/7, you are thinking about how you should be out there in the market, how you should put yourself in front of people's eyes, because if people forget you, you're out. So today, also because of social media, everyone is 24/7 thinking about how to pitch themselves out there, how to market themselves out there. Oh, damn it, I've not put a post for 2 days. I don't have any shows coming up. Is there a film of mine releasing? Am I on any podcast? Am I talking to someone? Is somebody watching me? Have people forgotten me? These are the things that keep on running like ants all across the mind. And it's true for the lowest denominator of actors to the biggest superstar in the country. I think I was actually telling a friend of mine that we should write a story about the forgotten superstar, a fiction one, where this guy is now not being recognized by today's generation and what he's going through and how he has to try and come back. So if you see, Mr. Bachchan also started to move with the youngsters. When Twitter came up, he joined Twitter. On Insta also, you keep on seeing him post something because it's become out of sight, out of mind. And today, everything is at a click away.
Yeah.
In these times, I feel the stress levels are much more higher. Once so days start very early in the morning, then you sort of plan out your these meetings have to do. You have to do these things, but where do I find time to put up a post? So I am one of those guys who say that let me not be in that rat race of being an Insta for have a guy who's having millions of followers. I do things on my own. I feel if I do my comedy and my craft, if the way I like it, it is like I see something, I found it funny, I'll put it immediately without writing down, without practicing. I just take the phone, switch it on my face, and I'll start recording and put it out there. So the only thing, like recently, I think KL Rahul and Mr. Goenka's video went viral.
Yeah.
So I asked my editor to cut that out for me, and I did a voiceover over there. And I put it on Instagram. I put it on Instagram and said, "This is what I believe what they're talking on." Basically, discussing OTT shows. So it became not insulting for anyone, but at the same time, it became informative and funny for people to watch. So I keep my humor very clean nowadays because there's anyways a lot of strife. So why don't we keep it cleaner and not take bigger pot shots at anyone? Let's assume that everybody in this world is nice, and so I keep on trying to spread some goodness. It keeps me happy. It keeps my troubles away for some time when I do this. Yeah, the load is much more. To put yourself out there, to be in the media rat race, Arun. I that's why I think I picked up the job in MX. A lot of people ask me why what's a guy like you doing in MX. I said I loved the job. Firstly, I really loved working there. I quit some time back because we were going through some changes. But I always say that if they call me back, I'm definitely going back. And yes, even as you speak, I am looking at getting into a corporate job, head something and make a difference to the way creative content is being looked at. That definitely I want to make it a movement. In fact, I've been talking to a lot of people trying to get funds to make smaller films but meaningful ones. यहाँ पे ऐसा होता है कि some investor comes, the money is first used to blow on something else, and by the time the real filmmakers come, there is no money left anymore. And that seems to be a vicious circle. I want to break that circle. In fact, just yesterday I was talking to someone and said we should do it in a proper manner. So this coming week I've got some great meetings lined up. I keep on thinking 24/7. I think that would be only fair to me and to the question that you asked. 24/7, my mind is constantly thinking how to create content, how to make content, how to facilitate making of good content and create something very unique. The stories are there. Stories are there, and I always tell people that when you narrate a story and people are interested, you are a filmmaker. So know how to narrate a story. Like Saurin will tell us that we had these two great guys in school, Subodh Karnik and Anand Nayak. Imagine with 10th standard naughty buggers that we were. Every free period, even the most rowdiest of the guys will say, "Arey, free period hai. Let's tell Subodh or Anand to tell a story." And this classroom of 58 really noisy idiots used to be quiet. Remember, Sorin, once when
I remember.
Who walked in? Father Dharma, Father Borges walked in, and he said he was one boy standing on the podium saying something, and this whole class quiet and listening, and he just asked what's happening, because he was shocked to see a room full of boisterous boys quiet listening to one guy. It has never happened before. And when he came to know that they were telling a story, he was so happy, he just walked out. I think it was Mr. Pinto, if I'm not mistaken.
Mr. Pinto or Gregory Lobo? I can't
Gregory
remember.
Lobo.
Yeah.
But that is the thing. So even when I was in the Big Boss house Malayalam, I used to tell people the biggest art is not about saying, it's about the ability to hear what other people are saying. So there has to be why. I said simple. If you hear, you get more information. If you're just spewing, you have got only that much of information. So better start listening to people and build your own information, background. The show used to come on Star One, the Laughter Challenge. And Star One was one channel built by a star that time to have a differentiator in the world of comedy. So there are a lot of funny shows over there. I had a show going on over there called the Great Indian Comedy Show, which also gave a lot of publicity for actors like us, Vinay Pathak, Ranveer Shori, Kiku Sharda, Gaurav Gera. All of us owe a lot to that show because we really came into the limelight after that show. That was a sketch comedy show, more like a Saturday Night Live, and the Laughter Challenge gave birth to such a lot of different Hindi stand-ups comedians who are like more of observational small things. What is happening? They used to touch everybody's heart and go. Today,
I think Kapil
yeah.
Sharma was also there, right?
Yes, Kapil Sharma is
Yeah,
also there.
I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Kapil Sharma, yeah. Navjot Singh
Yeah.
Sidhu's laughter
So,
started from there only. So,
so I know we're running past a lot of time, but just before I give it to Soren, so with the social media, it's almost like, you have to get the whole content out like in 1 minute because we have such a attention deficit disorder. 40 second, 30 second तो बहुत पूरी दुनिया बदल जाती है. तो you have to compress everything like in 1 minute. पहले जो आधे घंटे 15 मिनट में plot set करने का तो time रहा नहीं. So is there a management shift that you guys have to think about, that you only get 10 seconds for eyeballs to stay on your content before they move on to somebody else?
absolutely. I think even if you see today films worldwide also, the first frame is what sets the whole pace for people getting hooked onto it. So a lot of times you see movies starting with something which will, oh shit, what happened? Then you sit there and you watch the whole thing. If you don't catch them by their balls, I would say, you're going to lose them. So because attention span is very less. But I had this argument with someone when they told me about that. I said, listen, the paying audience are still people of our age group, people like us who come and pay. And if you think that you're still going to cater to the youth, you're not going to have any mega hits. It will be in your OTT platforms. It doesn't really make your money. If you want to have mega hits, please cater to the middle audience. Don't completely go think that youth and youth ke liye kuch banate.
But are you still into stand-up now? You don't do stand-up anymore.
I do. In fact, I'm got in touch with the manager from Canada, and I think I want to open with a stand-up show called I'm Right Wing. That's what I want to do. I want to talk about being a right wing, and basically it boils down to how difficult it has been for somebody who's a believer, not believing in any nonsense like cutting people and all this stuff. But I'm following my religion. I want to talk about that, and I want to create humor around it. And
Right. But this has been great, yeah. We want to invite you back, anytime
please
on
do,
the show.
please.
And
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on the show.
Very
And,
nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Arun. Thank you, Anshul. And
Thank you.
Saurin.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
it's always a pleasure.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Good night.
Namaste.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.